Have you ever just stopped and thought about the sheer scale of what Apple does every year? We're not just talking about updating a few computers here and there. We are talking about coordinating a massive software update for over 1 billion iPhones all around the world at pretty much the same time. I mean, it sounds like an impossible task, right? But the secret, it isn't chaos. It's actually a masterfully engineered and beautifully predictable machine. So let's just get right into it. How in the world do you actually pull that off? How do you push a huge, incredibly complex piece of software to that many devices across the entire globe without the whole system just collapsing? It's genuinely one of the biggest logistical puzzles in all of modern tech. And the answer is, well, it's almost disappointingly simple. You use a calendar. That's really it. It's not some chaotic last-minute scramble. It's a highly predictable, meticulously planned schedule that repeats every single year. In an industry that is obsessed with moving fast and breaking things, Apple's secret weapon is the exact opposite: consistency. This annual rhythm, this clockwork precision, is something the entire tech world can literally set its watch to. Okay, so let's break this clockwork down. The race for the next big version of iOS doesn't just start randomly. Nope. It has a very official, very public starting gun, and that gun fires every single summer. And this right here, this is basically the whole playbook laid out for everyone to see. This timeline is the map for the entire year. It kicks off in June with a huge announcement. It then moves into a summer of really intense testing. It hits the main event in September with the public release, and then it transitions into the fall and winter for all the fine-tuning. This calendar, this is the key to everything. So the whole cycle officially gets going in June at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, WWDC. This is where Apple gets up on the big stage and finally pulls back the curtain on the next major iOS version. For app developers, this day is like the first day of school. They get to download the very first developer betas and all the new tools they need, like the SDKs, which are kind of like the toolbox, and the APIs, which are like the instruction manuals, to get their apps ready for the new system. And let's be super clear about what a developer beta really is. This is not for your average person. It's an early and, believe me, often very buggy and unstable version of the software. Its entire reason for existing is to give developers a critical head start. It lets them see what new features are going to break their apps so they can start fixing things months before you and I ever get the chance to download the final version. All right, so the developers have had a few weeks to find and report the biggest, most glaring problems. And then Apple does something that's actually pretty brave. They open the floodgates. And this is where we see two totally different groups of testers emerge. So on one side, you've got the developers, right? They're focused on the deep technical stuff. But then, usually sometime in July, the public beta opens up. And anyone can sign up for this. It's way more stable, and its purpose is different. It's all about gathering feedback at an enormous scale. This is how Apple finds all those bizarre real-world bugs that only show up when millions of people start using the software in ways no engineer could ever have possibly imagined. So the summer of testing is finally over. All that feedback from developers and the public has been gathered, it's been sorted through, and the fixes have been made. Now, we've arrived at the main event. September is showtime. Right before the big public launch, developers get something called the Gold Master Build, or GM. You can think of this as the final dress rehearsal. This is the version of the software that is, for all intents and purposes, the finished product. So when developers get this, they know, okay, this is it. This is our last chance to test our app and get it submitted to the App Store before launch day. And then, just like clockwork, around the middle of September, the moment arrives. The new version of iOS officially starts rolling out to hundreds of millions of iPhones. And it's absolutely no coincidence that this timing almost always lines up perfectly with the launch of the brand new iPhones, which creates this single massive wave of excitement and media attention. But hey, just because the software is out in the wild doesn't mean the work is done. Oh no, in a lot of ways, it's just getting started. The launch is immediately followed by this really crucial period of aftercare, of constant tuning. This is where all those little minor updates come in. You've definitely seen them pop up on your phone, right? The 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3 releases. These aren't about adding flashy new features. Think of them as the essential maintenance crew. They're out there delivering vital bug fixes, making performance improvements, and, this is the most important part, pushing out critical security patches to keep that massive billion-device ecosystem safe and running just right. So we've walked through the whole calendar, from the summer kickoff to the winter tune-ups. But why does this rigid, predictable system matter so much? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. Well, for app developers, this predictability is everything.
It literally gives them a clear, unmistakable playbook for the year. They know to plan their big updates around WWDC, they know to spend the summer testing on the betas, and they know exactly when they need to submit their apps to be ready for the public release. It just removes all the chaos and the guesswork from their job.
And, the source material just puts it perfectly. It says this cycle allows developers to plan ahead, test early, and release confidently. And that word, confidently, that's the key. In an industry worth billions and billions of dollars, you can't build a stable business on guesswork. This predictability is the very foundation that allows the entire App Store ecosystem to actually work. So, what does all this careful planning for developers mean for you, the person who's just using their phone every day? It means that when you finally hit that update button in September, your banking app, your favorite game, your social media apps, they are all so much more likely to just work. That predictability for them translates directly into a more stable, more reliable experience for you. So we've seen how this incredible system creates stability on a massive scale. But in a tech world that seems to value speed and disruption above all else, it does make you wonder, is this clockwork-like process Apple's greatest strength? Or could it one day become a weakness? What do you think?